I am Phillip Lanos, and today we are here with Jason Khalipa. Now, he is the founder of NC Fit, a global fitness company with brick and mortar locations. Corporate wellness and digital services are some of the focuses. Now, he's also a CrossFit Games champion and a pediatric cancer advocate. Jason, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked. Like I said prior to recording, it's not often I get to talk to a fitness professional. So this is a great opportunity. If there's one thing I think entrepreneurs are notorious for across the board is one of two ways, right? Either they're overly active and out there trying to run marathons and whatever else, or they're the entrepreneur that spends a lot of time on the chair and not really moving and all of those things. So you get to do this cool thing, at least my interpretation of what I imagine your life is like on a top level is you get to be an entrepreneur and focus on fitness. So I have to ask, was fitness always a passion for you coming up in the game?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I started in the fitness industry a long time ago. So when I was 15, I started working at the front desk of a health club. I then worked my way up, started doing sales when I was in college. And then as soon as I was done college, I knew I wanted to pursue fitness. And so I ended up opening a company right out of college. And so, yeah, learned a lot along the journey. We've owned the company now since 2008. So what, 13 years?
Wow.
Um, and yeah, a lot of lessons learned along the journey. But yeah, fitness has always been a part of my life. And like you said, I'm very grateful that, I get to show up to my office every day in a pair of t-shirt, a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. And I don't take that for granted because a lot of people have a hard time getting to the gym and whatnot. I work at the gym, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah. What is that like? Is it one of those things where you could actually take a break and step out to work out at the gym and then get back to whatever you were doing?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, here I am. I'm at my house right now. I have a full garage gym set up that I could just walk down there and go do whatever. Or in our office, we have upstairs office, and then you can go downstairs and you're in the gym. And so there's really no excuse for not getting after it every day. But that's also just a part of culturally what we're about as a gym. We're I'm a really big believer. Um, our company is a really big believer in this idea of putting an effort over everything and just kind of going out there and whatever you're doing, just putting out your best effort. And for me, when it comes to fitness, especially now that I have kids, my priorities have shifted where it's more about never allowing fitness to inhibit the things that I need to do in life or want to do. So if my son comes home and wants to go climb a mountain or whatever, all right, let's rock. If you want to go swim, let's do it. And so for me, that's one of the biggest reasons why I have a garage gym when we have these gyms is so I could kind of do whatever I want to do and then provide that opportunity to as many people as possible.
Do you come from a family where sort of fitness and health was kept at the forefront of things?
Not as much as, so my dad's from Iran, my mom's Italian. Um, I wouldn't say that fitness was like a cornerstone like it is in our household. But it wasn't something that they shied away from. That's how I got introduced to the gym when I was 15 is they used to go there and I went with them. And then I got a summer and weekend job working the front desk once I was 16.
That's cool, man. Yeah. I mean, for sure, it wasn't something in my household. It was something I just had to pick up. So not everybody gets that opportunity. And I'm glad that you're instilling something like that. Do you find that raising a family and keeping a team what's working under you together are kind of similar in ways?
With our kids, so I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. And when it comes to fitness, it's really simple in our house. Super, super simple. You have to get your heart rate elevated and sweat once a day. I don't care what you do. You can go do anything you want. You can go jump on the trampoline. You can go run down the street. You could go in the garage. You could play sports. But every single day you have to sweat by elevating your heart rate and moving your body, right? That's it. As a parent, obviously you want to try and set good examples and be a good leader in the family. But when it comes to managing a team, it's a little bit different because there's a lot of personalities, there's a lot of different types. Learning how to delegate, learning how to take, enabling your team to make great decisions, creating a culture at your company is so important. And so there are some parallels, but I'd say parenting is the risks are higher if you mess up, but the team is smaller. So it's easier to manage than when you have 10, 20, 30, 100 people, it's a little bit tougher.
Yeah. And so you started, you said in 2008. That wasn't a great time for the American economy. So I'm surprised to hear that. What was that like?
Well, I mean, so in 2008, I graduated from a school here in Northern California called Santa Clara University, and I ended up winning the CrossFit Games at the same time, which was good from a promotion perspective. Um,
Wow.
but for our business, we bootstrapped it, right? We were in a warehouse. I think we started with like $10,000, and essentially for each member that we enrolled, I would then go buy more and more equipment. But because of the way the business is in fitness, where let's just say you look at your expense line and you need to make X amount of dollars and you need 100 members to be successful, or 200 or 300 in a more of a boutique training environment where you're charging 200-300 bucks a month. You don't need thousands and thousands and thousands of people. All you need is 400 or 500 people, and your location can be phenomenally successful. And so when we opened in 2008, we just kind of opened, and still believe this to this day, just over servicing our members, and when they come in, give them the best hour of their day. And we didn't need thousands of people. We just needed hundreds. And sure enough, there was plenty of people in the Bay Area that, didn't get as affected by the recession and wanted to prioritize their fitness. Coming out of COVID, I think it's gonna be the same thing. People, at this point, look, you could talk about vaccines, masks, you can talk about all that stuff. But at the end of the day, what's completely in our control, yes, you can go take the vaccine, you can wear a mask, but it's taken our health into our own hands. And we know that coming out of COVID, I think it's put more of a emphasis on that for people. I at least hope it has.
Sure. And keeping the immunity system strong. I mean,
Yeah.
step one, stay active.
Yeah. Stay active. It's like get sun, stay active. And that's why, I think for anybody who isn't inspired to go get out there and work out, I think they know the health benefits, right? A lot of people, they know that, hey, if you want a 6-pack abs, you probably need to go work out and eat better. Okay. If you want better blood markers, you probably should go exercise and eat better. Okay. But there's a whole other idea of this where, it kind of builds this hedge against your ability to not do things and get sick. So it's like putting money into the bank, right? But every day you work out, every day you eat better, you're kind of building this hedge, and you never know when you're going to need it. But when something like COVID comes around, it's nice to have that little hedge. Now, I'm not saying just because you're fit, you're not going to get sick. You could, but you're going to have a better chance of doing better about it. That same thing goes with having your kids be able to keep up with them.
Yeah. No, that's definitely big, especially for entrepreneurs who do have families and they're not staying active. I If you could offer, just on a side note here, just one piece of perspective on what they need to consider when they're sitting at a desk for 18 hours because they have to, or they really can't can't be bothered to pull away for a second to go do something, or maybe before they sleep, or they come home and they're too tired. What's the most effective way to sort of implement that into life? Because if you don't implement it into what you're already doing, it likely doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, I'd say don't get too crazy too fast, right? Just be easy, give yourself a little grace. Don't go too crazy. First thing is, I only have a standing desk. So that's a great way to put some type of load on your spine, like throughout the duration of the day instead of sitting. So I'd recommend a standing desk. It's pretty low hanging fruit and it's not that big of a deal. The other thing I would recommend is start off with small goals, like twice a week. Say, hey, I'm going to wake up 30 minutes early and I'm just going to go for a walk. That's it. And once you accomplish that goal, then take a backpack loaded with like some water bottles or bricks, with like a towel around it, of course, and load that backpack 30, 40, maybe even 50 pounds and go for a walk. Once you've kind of earned that confidence of a couple of days a week doing that, then you can start layering, right? But if you can't even get there, then we got to get you there first.
Right. Most people's inclination is to throw on a tracksuit and go for a jog, and then they don't want to work out for the next 3 months.
That's the problem, right? They go too hard, too fast. I cannot tell you how many times, because we own gyms. I've met thousands of people that come in. They say, "Hey, I need to get in better shape. My doctor tells me I'm obese, whatever." And they come in, they say, "Hey, I want to, exercise 5 days a week, 7 days a week, and I'm going to eat full paleo, keto, whatever it is." And it's like easy there, easy. If you haven't done this for your entire life and you're 30, 40, 50 years old, it's going to take us a while to build those habits. And so I'd rather have you get the wins. So that's 1 day a week, get a win. And what I want you to do, is call me and say, "Hey, Jason, I want to do another day," versus me forcing you to do another day, right? Like over time, if we can have you do 1, 2, 3, and then you call and you're excited to get in another day, that's when you've actually made it a habit and you're good to go.
Now, have you, as an entrepreneur who runs a fitness company and fitness service, have you felt the effects of not working out for a couple of days and how what that does to your performance as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a person?
Yeah, again, I'm probably an outlier, right? Because I was, I was talking to a friend the other day. It's kind of like, remember that movie, The Matrix, where they give you like the red pill or the green pill?
Yeah,
And we were saying that if everybody was able to eat a pill or take a pill and know all the benefits of fitness, like know how you would feel, they would all be all in. Meaning I've already felt what that feels like. I know that the way my mental clarity, my positivity, my ability to overcome micro adversity, my health benefits, all those things. So I'm always motivated to work out because I know how great it makes me feel. My daughter was diagnosed with leukemia in 2016. And at that point, there was a few days that I couldn't exercise just because we were really inundated with a lot of information. But just going out on a run and doing some push-ups and squats, the energy that I got back from that when I went back into the hospital room was night and day. And so, yeah, has there been times in my life where I haven't exercised for a couple of days? Very, 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 very rarely, because I know the benefits of how I feel mentally more than physically. I don't, at this point in my life, I've built a pretty good hedge, but it's mentally how I feel.
I love that. I can always tell an entrepreneur by the metrics they use to like, everybody has the bottom line they're looking at, but what would you say is your key metric at NC Fit that you follow in terms of impact?
Well, I mean, the key metric, obviously, as a business, you need to create profitability,
Yeah,
of course. Um, and the culture needs to be strong. But ultimately, for our business, a easy way, not the only way, but a easy way to determine success is how many people we impacting on a regular basis, right? We are a fitness organization motivated to make a change on people's lives in a positive way, right? And we do that in a variety of ways, through corporate wellness, through our brick and mortar, and through our online app, the NC Fit app. Well, if we are servicing more people, if we are impacting more people, that's ultimately the sign that we're moving in the right direction, because then the profits follow the culture, and the culture needs to be strong in the beginning, of course. But yeah, impacting more lives is a key, and the right
so
lives, right? Like, something I've had to learn the hard way is like, we're not going to be for everybody. And I'm okay with that. Like, our business, if you want to put in the effort, do functional style training and really get great results, but you got to work for you. If you're not really interested in putting in the work, you know, that's okay, right? We'll wait until you're ready, because our style of training is only beneficial when you really put out your best effort with it.
I see. And most people are I imagine NC Fit because of you won the CrossFit Games. Now, is CrossFit kind of what NC Fit focuses on?
So CrossFit is a methodology, it's a sport, it's a brand, and they've done a lot for the fitness space, a ton. We are kind of a interpretation or I used to work for HQ teaching seminars CrossFit for a long time, and I loved a lot of things they did, but we're a little bit more of a practical application from what we've learned in the trenches, right? So we took what we learned from CrossFit and we've adapted and evolved a little bit based on owning and operating gyms. And so that's our approach that we take. It's rooted in some of the many, many principles of CrossFit, but it's our own spin on it.
Yeah, no, I love that. Any martial artist would, right? They gather the best techniques from where they've been and then they throw it into their own style. And I think it's cool because most people are intimidated by the idea of CrossFit, like you said, and they don't even want to go there. But you happen to have levels to this where people can join NC Fit and actually start off small.
Yeah, we have a variety of different programs, right? So if you're looking for more complexity, we got you covered, right? We got that. But if you're looking for a baseline dumbbell bodyweight program, we have that. And we have a fundamental strength conditioning program. And so the idea is, over these last 13 years, like, I've realized not everybody has the same desires when it comes to fitness, but we still want to be able to impact you. So if we could kind of fall within this certain spectrum, like, we're not going to go out and do Pilates and yoga. If you want to do that, go do it. Like, that's awesome. I love jujitsu, for example. I do a lot of jujitsu, but we're not going to offer jujitsu. That's not what I'm an expert at. We're going to focus on this functional training, but have a variety of different lanes with it. We have a new bodybuilding program actually coming out. It's a bodybuilding functional training program. It comes out November 1st.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
What would you say is the hardest part about launching and maintaining a fitness center itself?
The people, of course. Yeah. I mean, look, anybody can go rent a space. Anybody can build it out. You're not talking about that much money, two, three, 400,000, whatever it is. Um, that's a lot of money, but relative to other businesses, it's not. But it's having the right people in place, right? Having the right culture, having the right buy-in. And that's tough as you scale. When you go from one location to two, it's not that bad because the people at location one go with you to location two and you can kind of be at both spots. But as you go from two to three to four to five, it gets tougher and tougher because you can't be everywhere at once. And so you being the right leader, creating the right culture is something that I've learned the hard way a little bit. And I wish that what I would have done a better job of is write down our core values better, really identify this mission that we have. And right now we're refining ours, right? And made sure that that was more instilled in all of our team all the time. Because it probably would have helped us with decision making. Because ultimately, if a decision came up in the business and I wasn't there, our team should already know how we're going to answer it based on those core values.
Right. Yeah. That way they can make those decisions because they know it's in line with what the company would want.
You're right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, scaling is definitely hard, and I imagine more so when it involves highly leveraged on people on the team that you guys have in place. And then is turnover hard because it's a lot of people start off. It might be young people that are joining up to sign up to work at the gym, and their career may not be fitness, but it might be. It might be a lot of licensed fitness professionals that are trying to run. Is it an interesting sort of tug and pull?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, retention from an employee perspective, you just got to kind of be aware of like the industry you're in and what's going on, right? It's like Starbucks. There's going to be certain employees that they're going to have for a long time. They're going to work their way up in the organization. They're going to have different opportunities. There's other people that come there as a, college, right out of college, they work there as a barista and they move on to something else. And that's okay, right? And I think for us, coming to that realization was really important that we are going to do everything in our power to provide as many resources, as much trajectory for people. But ultimately, coaching is maybe not going to be for everybody forever. But if we could be an organization that could train, develop, teach, and help them catapult to their next step, that I get a lot of reward from that. But I mean, as of right now, I mean, our retention is really good. I don't know the exact percent currently, but throughout COVID, I think that we've earned their trust and they've earned our trust more. We paid all our people. They've seen, I want to say I'm fairly confident that every person across our organization has seen some type of pay increase of some type in the last year. And for a fitness company to be able to do that, given COVID, I think earned their trust a lot. And they in turn have busted their butt for us.
That's awesome, man. That couldn't have been easy. I mean, you're literally in one of the industries that was hit the hardest due to COVID. And not only did you start in 2008, but you actually have now lived through this experience that we're going through right now and still come out on top, being able to gain even further trust from your team. Where does that come from? How are you able to dig deep enough to find that? Is it the team that you have in place that you can trust? Is it what really helped you pull through as an entrepreneur?
I mean, I think we have a great team. Number one, I think our team is super, 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 super strong. And I was talking to someone the other day and they said, hey, the top 10% of your company does 80% of the work or something like that. There's some quote out there. And this guy was telling me, like, regardless of how big your company is, you can go up against these other big guys if you have the right team at the top. And so for us, I think we have that 10 people on our team, the top X% that are just as good as any other team. I'll put them up against. And so I think our team has been really good. And I think also just this idea that, life kind of comes and kicks you in the nuts sometimes. And COVID is an example of that. But that's not something that's super new to my family and our business, given the fact that, we're a couple of years out of leukemia treatment for my daughter. And so that in itself, my wife and I were pretty young when our daughter was diagnosed, and it definitely transformed the way we look at different issues moving forward, specifically business, but also in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, you bring up a really good point. A lot of entrepreneurs that I've talked to have ultimately said that one of the best decisions they ever made was the partner they ended up choosing to be with, because it made all the difference in business too. Do you find that your relationship really offers and provides that? Is that a place where you can actually? It sounds like you have. I don't mean to pry too far into it. I just would like to know your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, my wife and I, we met when we were 14. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, so we met in high school and we stayed together. And, throughout that time, right, you learn a lot about someone, you learn how to overcome things. And also, I competed professionally for almost a decade in CrossFit. And so there's a lot of times on the floor. I mean, dude, you're just getting crushed and you got to learn how to overcome those challenges. And I think that same mindset transfers over into business, which is one of the reasons why anybody listening who owns a business, I would strongly encourage, like, oh, it's almost mandatory that you just go out there and do some form of fitness because fitness carries over. I mean, look at all these entrepreneurs, all these leaders who get in some type of fitness. It's because fitness provides you an opportunity to get these micro adversities, little bit of adversities, a little bit of challenges, and you could learn how to overcome it. And then you could take those skills and bring it into your business. Rarely in life do we have those micro adversities that we do in fitness, where it's not that big of a deal. Like you got to get 5 more reps. You got to push a little bit harder and you need to mentally prepare yourself to overcome that. If you do it, great. If you don't do it, it's not a life and death situation, but you could learn from it. And you could kind of build yourself up.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And I see that you have a strong advocacy for the pediatric cancer. I can only imagine how hard that was to go through. And I love that you've taken up the cause and made sure to make that an announcement. Do you come across a lot of people? Have you joined organizations, or are you more family focused and like just making sure that that gets done properly?
Oh no, I mean, yeah, we're actively engaged, on Instagram. If you're someone who has a child who's sick with, leukemia, cancer, it's actually more common than you would think. DM me, it's Jason Khalipa. We have an annual charity event. It's called Ava's Kitchen. We've raised quite a bit of money. My wife hosts that. That's coming up in February 5th, actually. Check it out, avaskitchen.org. So we have our own charity event. My wife does. I support her on that. We do regular blood drives. And then we support an organization called NEGA, which is a never ever give up organization that essentially sends out these little jars filled with toys to kids all over the world. And so any opportunity I have to fundraise for them or donate myself, we always do. So, the pediatric cancer thing is something that it's highly personal. And so we're always going to support forever.
100%, man. Right on. And for me, I'm curious because of it just seems like, do you have a morning fitness routine, or are you more of the night fitness routine person?
Yeah, I got, it's kind of all. So like most mornings, not all mornings, but most mornings, all mornings, I either go for a morning ruck with a 40-pound backpack on at like 6 a.m., right? Or I go in the garage and do some form of cardio pretty much every single morning. This morning, I switched it up and I did some more complex stuff because I'm competing in an event at the end of the month. And then I went to jiu-jitsu, right? So I did my workout, I went to jiu-jitsu, and now I'll probably go with my kids and go work on the garage later on today. And so traditionally, I'll put in a morning ruck or a morning cardio for 30 minutes is just like a prerequisite to start the day. Then throughout the day, I'll find an opportunity to get in a solid workout.
Man, that's epic. Anyone, I mean, I know some entrepreneurs that just seem to have boundless energy, and they're usually also always exercising. And then I know the opposite of people who always kind of feel tired and they're usually not that active. So if there's anything I want to make sure people take away from this, is just like your level of activity determines your level of activity, if that makes any sense. And there's really no way around that. And as you said, as entrepreneurs, it's almost mandatory that if you want to excel and continue to impact, that you have to put yourself through that kind of rigorous
Yeah, I mean,
experience.
and it's almost mandatory for like your life, right? If you want to be a leader, you're leading in your business, you're doing a great job, you're crushing it. But there's other ways you could lead, right? You could lead from the front for your kids, showing them a healthy lifestyle. And it's not that complicated. Honestly, it's not that complicated. Get rid of some of the refined sugars, start walking. I mean, like, it's not that big of a deal. And then from there, you can start layering it on once you have these habits. If you want to, 2-3 days a week, try and take your family out for a 15-minute walk after dinner. I mean, that's a great place to start. You can connect with them. You can, I think we overcomplicate fitness. And I think people oftentimes will find any excuse in the book not to get a membership. You don't need shit. Just go out for a walk. And then once you build that habit, then start doing some air squats and start doing some push-ups. Then you can start layering it on or go download the NC Fit app. But in the beginning, just start building habits. I think is really important.
See, this is the part where I want to invite people. Do you have like a YouTube channel where you do this, or Instagram where you prefer for people to visit you and stay in touch?
Yeah, I mean, I think Instagram's really good if they want to actually message Jason Khalipa. YouTube, we're just starting to get back on that. I have a podcast called Effort Over Everything. We're kind of really starting to double down on that. I want to go longer format. I want to be able to provide value for people. It's really important for me. So although Instagram has been the largest platform we have, we're really invested in a podcast and YouTube because I want to be able to, provide more value than just a short clip.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Effort Over Everything, was it?
Yeah. Yeah. We had it as business of fitness. And it was really businessy. And then I wanted to open up conversations to other stuff that I wanted to talk about.
No, I'm glad you can always open it up. That's the beautiful thing about podcasting, and the fact that it's long form offers so many things. And especially for people who are working out, now they have an option to listen to something that is done by a fitness professional who keeps in mind that while also exploring other things that are important in that realm. And you could throw it on while you're doing your morning walk or whatever it is that you're doing. I love that. And then the NC Fit app, is that on the Apple Store and Android store?
Yeah. And starting, like I said, I mean, obviously, if someone's already been involved in fitness, the NC Fit app, if you're a functional training app, like it's, in my opinion, obviously I'm biased. I think it's the greatest app available for functional training. If you are just trying to get off the couch, like, you could download the app, go for it, but you need to start off by creating habits. So start off with walking, start off with doing some body weight stuff. And then once you feel like you've built up that habit, I cannot wait for you to message me. And then go download our app. But until that time comes, you gotta build it up. But if you've been actively training, you're used to some functional style movements, you're going to love our app.
Got it. And now if you could have invited anybody to your podcast coming up, who were some like perfect guests that you hope one day, well, if the case they're listening, that you would want them to jump on and be a guest?
I mean, obviously I'd love to talk to The Rock, of course. Like who would not want to talk to The Rock?
For sure, man.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to talk to The Rock. Yeah. I'd like to, Morgan Freeman would be interesting.
Wow. Okay.
Because he's done a lot of like, I just would be interested in his perspective, right? On different things about life, about whatever. I'd look for someone with wisdom and age. I think as you get older, you kind of, you start seeing things a little bit differently than when you're younger. So I'd say those are a couple of people right off the top of my head.
Yeah, no. So now I'm getting a flavor of what Effort Over Everything is ultimately trying to accomplish. That's definitely really cool because you got the wisdom of Morgan Freeman, but the fitness expertise of The Rock, and I see that blend. Now that easily transitions over to the question I normally ask people as I'm closing out the show, and that is like, after everything we just covered in the conversation together here, who would you have loved to have invited, dead or alive, to like join us and revisit your journey and what you've accomplished and what you're trying to accomplish with NC Fit and so on and so forth? And why would you invite them?
Ah, man, my Uncle Joe, he passed away maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and he was in World War II. This dude was a total badass, and he saw a lot of really bad stuff at a really young age. And he would talk to me a little bit about it, but I wasn't mature enough. Like, I would spend all the summers with him. I'd spend so much time with him, but I wasn't mature enough. I was too young and naive and thought I knew everything. I used to sit down with him and talk about things, but I wish I would have gone deeper, because I read a few of his letters recently, and he talked about the war. He talked about what he saw, and, he was like 15 driving cars in the war. And it's like, I wish I would have dove in deeper, because then he became a Christian brother and he dedicated his life to God. And I wish I would have asked more, like, why did you do that? And anyways, it's one of those things, man. It's like hindsight's 2020. You think you know everything when you're young, and then you realize you don't really know anything.
Yeah, man. No, shout out to your uncle, man. That's wow. I can only imagine what those letters were like. That's a time in history, you
Right?
know. That's got to be a podcast episode. I hope one day. Here's an excerpt, or something, Oh man,
Actually, yeah, that would be pretty interesting. Actually, I should look at them. I should pull them up one day and read that.
dude.
One day that'd be a good podcast.
Well, shout out to him, man. And Jason, it really has been a pleasure getting to sort of take a brief dive into what it's been like to launch a business in 2008 of all times. And then come full circle, you're having a conversation about what that's been like just on the other side of COVID, which we're still kind of like all of us in the middle of like what's happening, but your team is stronger than ever. You've actually increased their pay, which is awesome. And you're out here doing amazing things for a cause that's very personal. And the way you're doing it is just awesome, man. Overall, it's a clear indicator of what's possible when you keep your head on straight and you take care of your health, the amount of things you can juggle and actually deliver on and accomplish and do it with swag. I mean, you look good, you sound great. I mean, that's a place all of us are trying to be at. So when we listen to the story that you just shared with us today, right? Your ambitions, obviously to continue to grow and expand, and we look at the state of the world and what you've done as a businessman, there's nothing but salutes and congratulations on my end, man, and gratitude really for being able to open up and just share a little bit of, feedback on what you imagine entrepreneurs really need to know and taking care of our health. Number one, man, I can't thank you enough for reminding us of that.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate giving me the opportunity to be on. And yeah, if anybody's even on the fence, just go for a walk tomorrow morning. You'll feel a million times better once you get back.
There it is.